Welcome to Engines of Mischief. Congratulations, you are an aristocrat. You are one of the wealthiest and most powerful residents of Manchester. It is your job to direct society and make sure it navigates the changes of the new industrial economy. But to do this, you and your class must maintain your wealth, power, and status. This video will explain how you keep track of the amount of money you earn and how this impacts your lifestyle and your class status. To keep these accounts, you must fill out 2 worksheets each game session. First, a make money worksheet for your profession as an aristocrat. Then, a determine lifestyle and status worksheet for your social class, the upper classes. Here is your make money worksheet. It helps you calculate how much money you make each session. You make most of your income from rent on land, but you also have some buildings. You own most of the land in the countryside around Manchester. You rent it to farmers who grow food on it, particularly grains that are made into bread. You do also own some warehouses in the center of the city of Manchester that you can rent to merchants who want to use them to open factories. But you begin the game just renting agricultural land to farmers. There are a few other ways you can make money as the game progresses, but the main source of your income is from renting land. Here is how you fill out your first worksheet. First, make sure that your character's name is at the top and include the session this worksheet is for. So this worksheet, we're going to imagine, is for the Earl of Derby. Then you have to determine how much money you earned this session. Again, your income comes from renting land. How much rent you make depends on 2 things. First, how many plots of land you own. This is at the top of the worksheet. As the Earl of Derby, you have 20 plots of land. This makes you the richest aristocrat. Other aristocrats have less land than you do, so they are less wealthy. So put 20 shillings in the box here. The next thing you have to figure out is how much rent you collect per plot. This is at the top, but the game master also will either display or give you a market conditions board that also indicates the rent for agricultural land. That's the market condition rent. So this session is 1,000 shillings and you will put it in that box. This weekly rent can change based on market conditions or if you and the other aristocrats decide to repeal or change the corn laws. Then you have to determine the total rent you've collected. All you do is multiply the number of plots by the rent per plot, and in this case, this adds up to 20,000 shillings. You will make this much money every session. Unless you sell your land or buy more land, you will always make 20,000 shillings per session. So this is a guaranteed income. You also have some warehouses that you can rent to merchants or craftsmen to make more income, and there are other ways of making money. And you can use all of these boxes to fill them out. But we're assuming that in session 1, you haven't done any of these things, and your total rent collected, the total income you have is 20,000 shillings. So you would put 20,000 shillings under rent, that's what you collected, 0 under other, you add them together for 20,000 shillings. We're assuming you haven't spent any money, so you would put 0 in that box, which means your total income that you include at the bottom and that you also include at the top is 20,000 shillings. You do have some savings, and this is indicated in your roll sheet. In session 1, you have savings of 10,000 shillings. That's a one-time savings, so you don't get it every session, but you do get it in the first session. So that's all you have to do for session 1 to figure out your income and how you've made that money. The next thing you have to do is calculate how you can live with this income. And you do this by filling out a determined lifestyle and status worksheet for the upper classes, which you belong to. The first thing you have to do as the Earl of Derby is figure out what class level you belong to. you will fill out the boxes only for one class level, and that's your class level. This is determined by your weekly income that you figured out on your Make Money worksheet. So again, don't forget to put your character's name at the top. And don't forget that you had already determined that your weekly income was 20,000 shillings. That's from your Make Money worksheet. So what this means is that you are not a squire, you're not class 7, because you make more than 999,000 shillings per week. You're also not a patrician because you also make more than what patricians make. You are a magnate. You are the richest and most powerful aristocrat in all of Manchester because you make 20,000 shillings or more for your weekly income. Now the Earl of Derby has to fill in the boxes for class level 9. Don't forget his income is 20,000 shillings and he has a savings of 10,000 shillings. So the Earl puts his weekly income in that box there, 20,000 shillings, his savings in that box, which is 10,000 shillings, and that gives him a total income of 30,000 shillings he can spend this session. The first thing he has to spend his money on are necessities. As a magnate, he must spend 20,000 shillings per session on necessities. These are things that help him live a lifestyle suited to his class level. He cannot be considered part of the magnate class level if he cannot afford these necessities. This does mean he has 10,000 shillings left over in savings. And ideally, what he would like to do is buy some luxuries. This proves that he can live better than other magnates. He will get a status point for every 3,500 shillings of luxuries he buys, and 3 status points are maximum. But the status points he gets is because buying luxuries shows that he's doing better than other people in his class. The boxes here at the right are just examples of the types of things that aristocrats of various class level have to spend their money on for necessities and the types of things that they can buy for luxuries. The Earl of Derby, if he has money for luxuries, can do things like buying art and jewelry, throwing a fancy dress ball, gambling, even giving money to charities. As a player, you don't have to actually indicate that you are buying anything specific for your luxuries, unless, of course, you decide to spend money on charities, which will give you extra status points. These are just examples of what you can buy and what your lifestyle is like. So the Earl of Derby has enough money to be able to buy 7,000 shillings of luxuries, and this will give him 2 status points. So what he'll have to do is put 2 in the yellow box to the left of 7,000 shillings, and then down at the bottom he calculates that now he only has a savings of 3,000 shillings after spending that 7,000, but he'll put down the 2 status points he got for lifestyle there. The Earl may be able to earn other status points, for example, in town hall if he gives a very good speech, or if he writes an editorial in a newspaper that gets chosen as the best that session. And he would put those status points he earned elsewhere in the box marked Other. And then he adds his status points up, and he ends up with 3 status points. So in this example, in this session, the Earl has done very well. He has 3 status points, and he still has a savings of 3,000 shillings. So now we move on to session 2. And the Earl will put the savings that he made in session 1, which was 3,000 shillings, in that box there. Then he has to figure out again how much money he's earned and what his total income is. Don't forget, he still gets the same amount of rent as he did in the first session. This will end up being 20,000 shillings. But he also can rent out some of his warehouses. He has 10 warehouses. The rent for the warehouse, there is a market price on the Market Conditions Board, but he also can negotiate whatever rent he wants. Then there are all sorts of other things he can do to make money. He can make dividends from investments, he can open a mining operation, he can give loans and make interest on loans. Check your roll sheet. Many of the things that are indicated here on your roll sheet. Also, don't forget that to make that kind of money will require investing some money. So spending some money will be necessary in order to make money. So that's about it for aristocrats. If an aristocrat ends the game with more income and status points, it proves that they are still the richest and most powerful people in Manchester. And they can use this power to help everyone in Britain as a whole make a successful transition to the new industrial economy and win the game. Good luck.